All right, so today we're going to be multiplying and dividing equations. So remember inverse operations, okay? Operations that undo each other. So like we learned, the opposite of addition is subtraction. Well, same thing for multiplication and division. The opposite of multiplication is division, and the opposite of division is multiplication. All right, so let's go ahead and let's look at what we are doing here. Remember, when there's nothing between the number and the variable, that means that we are multiplying. So we read this as 6 times x equals negative 30. So this equation has multiplication in it, okay? So I need to use the opposite, which is division, to solve it then. So the opposite of multiplying by 6 would be dividing by 6. So remember what I have to be fair. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So if we divide by 6 on this side, we now have to divide by 6 on this side. And remember, 6 divided by 6 is 1, which leaves us with just 1x. So we got x all by itself. And then negative 30 divided by 6 is a negative 5. All right, so now let's try another one. So here, let's look. We have n divided by 4 equals 3. Remember, this fraction bar means divide. Okay, so we have to ask ourselves, the equation has division, so I need to use blank to solve it. Okay, so the opposite of divide is multiply. So if we're dividing n by 4, we now need to multiply n by 4. Okay, and here whenever we multiply by 4, it actually cancels out, leaving us just with n. And 3 times 4 is 12. So here we know that n is 12. All right, here, remember, we want to look for that x first. We always want to know, where's x, right? So here we have negative 20 equals 5 times x, okay? So if we are multiplying here in this situation, we're going to ask ourselves, what's the opposite of multiply? Division, right? So we're going to use division now to solve it. So what's the opposite of multiplying by 5? We need to now divide by 5. What we do to one side, we need to do the exact same thing to the other side. So on both sides, we should be dividing by 5. And 5 divided by 5 is gone. Remember, we always want x to be by itself. So negative 20 divided by 5 is a negative 4. So our solution is negative 4 equals x. All right, one last one. Here we have 2 equals y divided by 7. So since we see that fraction bar, we know that we have division inside the equation. So the opposite of divide would be to multiply. So the opposite of dividing by 7 would be multiplying by 7. If we multiply by 7 on one side, we now have to multiply by 7 on both sides. The side with y, we get rid of our 7's. And 2 times 7 is 14. So 14 equals y.